The morning sun cast a warm, golden glow over the rolling hills of the mansion in Beverly Hills. Jed Clampett, a man whose heart was as wide as the plains of his youth, sat on the porch, nursing a cup of coffee that tasted like home. Beside him, Granny, with her customary scowl that softened only when she was scolding someone she loved, was busy shooing away a rather persistent bird. It was the bird that Jethro had insisted on bringing from the backwoods, a creature that seemed to have no respect for the decorum of a California estate. Jed looked at the horizon, his mind drifting back to the simple days when a hard day's work meant sweating in the sun, and the evening reward was nothing more than a quiet porch and the love of his family. Those days were gone, replaced by millions of dollars and a life he never quite expected, but his core remained as steady as a mountain oak. Granny huffed, shaking a wooden spoon at the air. "Jethro, stop that racket with that bird," she hollered, her voice echoing against the stone walls of the mansion. Jethro, a strapping young man with a grin that could charm a rattlesnake, only chuckled. He was currently trying to teach the bird a new trick, though it appeared the bird was more interested in stealing the shiny buttons from his vest. Jed just laughed, a deep, resonant sound that carried the echoes of the Ozarks. "Now, Granny, let the boy be. He is just trying to get some enjoyment out of the day. Life is too short to be worrying about birds and buttons." Granny sniffed, clutching her shawl tighter. "It is the principle of the thing, Jed. We are supposed to be high society now, or at least that is what Mr. Drysdale keeps telling us. I do not see why we cannot act like it." A sleek black limousine pulled up the long, winding driveway, its tires crunching softly on the gravel. Mr. Drysdale emerged, looking as harried as ever, his brow furrowed with the weight of numbers and interest rates. Behind him, Miss Hathaway trailed like a shadow, clutching a notebook as if it contained the secrets of the universe. Jed stood up, brushing off his trousers, and offered a hand of greeting. "Well, howdy, Mr. Drysdale. You look like you have been running a race against the wind." Mr. Drysdale forced a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. "Jed, I have come with news. Important, urgent news. The bank balance is reaching levels that require your immediate attention. It is a staggering amount, truly a testament to the success of your ventures." Inside the grand living room, the conversation shifted to the intricacies of finance, a subject that always made Jed feel as though he were trying to read a map written in a language he did not understand. $80 million, the banker repeated, emphasizing each word with a reverence usually reserved for prayer. Granny nearly dropped her tea. $80 million? Why, that is enough to buy every cow in the county, and then some. What on earth are we supposed to do with all that money? Mr. Drysdale adjusted his spectacles, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "It is a great burden, Granny. A burden that keeps me awake at night, checking the ledgers, ensuring every penny is safe and accounted for. It is for the good of the institution and, of course, for the good of you." Jed looked at his hands, calloused and strong. He had never been a man of greed. He had been a man of survival, and later, a man of simple comfort. The notion of owning so much wealth felt like wearing a coat that was far too heavy for the season. "I reckon we have more than we could ever need, Mr. Drysdale," Jed said slowly. "If it is causing you such trouble, maybe we should find a better use for it. Perhaps there is someone out there who needs a helping hand more than we do." Mr. Drysdale paled, his grip tightening on his briefcase. "Giving it away is a drastic measure, Jed. Think of the stability, the future of your kin." But Jed was not listening to the warning. He was thinking of the stories he had heard, of folks across the great ocean who were facing hard times, of a queen who was struggling to keep her crown polished while the coffers ran dry. It was Jethro who brought up the idea of England, his eyes bright with the prospect of adventure. "Why do we not take the money to the queen? I hear she is short on coins. We could go over there in the truck, visit that castle we have, and help her out." Granny, surprisingly, nodded. "It would be a noble thing, Jed. A way to do some good with this mountain of gold. We could save the monarchy and get rid of this banker fellow's heavy heart all in one go." Mr. Drysdale tried to interject, his face turning a shade of panicked crimson, but his voice was drowned out by the excitement bubbling up between the family members. The plan was set. They would travel to England, guided by the misplaced confidence of a young man who thought he knew the world because he had read a few books in the 6th grade. The journey was a blur of air travel and frantic preparation. Jethro had insisted on bringing the truck, despite the logistical impossibility of such a feat, and he spent the entire flight across the ocean talking about how they would patrol the streets of London and keep the rascals at bay. When they finally arrived at the castle, the stone walls stood silent and imposing against the gray English sky. It felt like stepping into a storybook, a world of knights and kings that seemed far removed from the dirt roads of their youth. A man named Faversham, the caretaker of the castle, greeted them with a stiff bow, his expression a mix of confusion and polite duty. He was a man of tradition, and he found the Americans to be a curious, if somewhat chaotic, addition to the local landscape. In the days that followed, the family navigated the complexities of English society with the innocence of children. Jed met with individuals who claimed to be ministers, men in fine velvet coats who spoke in riddles and bowed when they were supposed to, and stood tall when they were supposed to listen. He told them of his fortune, of his desire to help, and of his simple wish to see the world a little brighter for everyone. The people were astounded. They had never met a man who carried a fortune in his pocket and a heart of gold on his sleeve. They watched as Jed walked the halls of his castle, not as a king, but as a man who understood that true wealth was not in the gold itself, but in the ability to share it with those who had lost their way. There were moments of humor, of course. Jethro tried to explain the concept of a Texas tea party to a bewildered butler, and Granny spent her afternoons trying to teach the local baker how to make a proper pot of squirrel stew, much to the horror of the kitchen staff. But through the laughter, there was a genuine connection forming. The locals began to see that the Clampetts were not just wealthy eccentrics. They were people who valued kindness, integrity, and the strength of the family unit. The Queen, through her representatives, expressed her gratitude, though she never quite understood the full extent of the offer. To her, this was a gesture of unasked-for generosity that warmed the cold, drafty rooms of the palace. Jed often sat on the ramparts of the castle, watching the sun set over the green hills of England. He realized that while his bank balance had changed, he was still the same man who had shot at the ground and found oil. He had learned that the world was vast, filled with different customs and strange ways of doing things, but people were the same everywhere. They all wanted the same things: to be respected, to be loved, and to have a place to call home. He had helped his friends, he had kept his promise to his family, and he had found a bit of peace in the process. When they finally prepared to leave, the people of the village gathered to say goodbye. It was a scene of genuine emotion, a testament to the impact one man could have when he acted with a pure heart. Back in Beverly Hills, life resumed its normal rhythm, but it was a rhythm touched by the wisdom of their journey. Mr. Drysdale, having survived the scare of losing his largest depositor, was a changed man. Or, at least, he was a man who knew better than to ever challenge Jed's charity again. The money remained in the bank, but its purpose had been redefined. It was no longer a weight to be carried. It was a resource to be used to build a better life for those who had nothing. Jed spent his days in the garden, planting seeds that he hoped would grow into something beautiful. Granny sat on the porch, her knitting needles clicking in time with the chirping of the crickets, finally at peace with the world. And Jethro, having had his adventure, settled into the task of learning how to run an estate with a kind of responsibility he had never before possessed. The story of the Clampetts became a legend in the neighborhood, a tale told to children about a man who could have had everything but chose to give it away, and who found that by doing so, he gained even more. It was a story of hope, of the enduring power of family, and of the simple truth that a person's worth is measured not by the size of their bank account, but by the size of their heart. As the years passed, the mansion remained a place of laughter and song, a beacon of light in a world that often forgot the value of kindness. Jed Clampett was a happy man, for he knew that no matter where life took him or how much his circumstances changed, he would always be the same mountaineer who looked at the horizon and saw not just the distance, but the potential for a new beginning, a new story, and a new way to share his joy with the world. And so, the seasons turned, The trees grew tall, and the legacy of the man from the mountains continued to thrive. There were no more big schemes, no more frantic flights across the ocean, just the steady, quiet hum of a life well lived. Jed would often sit on his favorite chair, reflecting on the path that had led him from the hills to the mansion and back to the core of who he was. He found joy in the simple things: a well-tilled garden, a hearty meal with those he loved, and the knowledge that he had left the world a little bit better than he found it. He had taught his family that money was a tool, but that character was the foundation upon which everything else was built. And they, in turn, had grown into people who carried that lesson with them in everything they did. Granny eventually came to appreciate the quiet life of the city, though she never lost her sharp wit or her penchant for keeping everyone on their toes. She became a fixture in the community, a grandmother to all who needed one, and a guardian of the family values that had sustained them through all their trials. Jethro, too, found his path. He applied the lessons he had learned from his uncle and the responsibilities he had been given to become a pillar of the community, a man known for his honesty and his unwavering devotion to his family. The mansion was no longer just a place to live. It was a home, a sanctuary, and a place where anyone could find a friendly smile and a helping hand. The beauty of their life was in its simplicity. Even with the millions, they never forgot the taste of cornbread or the sound of the wind in the trees. They remained grounded, tethered by the memories of the life they once lived and the love they shared. Every day was a new opportunity to learn, to grow, and to reach out to others. They were not perfect, but they were true to themselves, and that was enough. The world continued to change, but the spirit of the Clampett family remained, an enduring symbol of what it meant to live a life of meaning and purpose. They had become a part of the tapestry of their new home, adding their own colors and threads to the rich, complex picture of a community that valued them for who they were, not for what they owned. As Jed looked out over the hills one final time, his heart was full. He had seen the world, he had touched the lives of many, and he had come home to the people who mattered most. He knew that the story of his life was not defined by the oil that had started it all, nor by the money that had followed, but by the journey itself and the connections he had forged along the way. It was a journey of discovery, of learning, and of growing, and it was a journey that had led him to the only thing that truly mattered: love. And in that love, he had found the richest treasure of all. He closed his eyes, listening to the sounds of his family in the house behind him, and he knew that everything was exactly as it should be. The story of Jed Clampett was not just a story of a mountaineer who became a millionaire. It was a story of a man who found his place in the world and, in doing so, taught us all how to live with grace, humor, and heart. The sun continued to rise and set, the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into years, but the warmth of the Clampett home never faded. It was a testament to the fact that even in a world that often prioritized the material over the meaningful, there were still those who understood the true value of life. They were a beacon, a reminder that the best things in life are not things at all, but the people we love and the experiences we share. And as the story of the Beverly Hillbillies continued to unfold, it served as an inspiration to all who heard it, a gentle nudge to look beyond the surface and find the humanity that connected us all. It was a story of life, of laughter, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty in every corner, no matter where we are or what we have. The legacy they built was not one of monuments or grand achievements, but of small acts of kindness and the quiet strength of family. They had shown that even when faced with the challenges of a new world, they could remain true to their roots while embracing the opportunities for growth and service. They had become more than just a family. They had become a family of the world, connected to everyone by the universal language of love and empathy. And as their story reached its conclusion, it was with the realization that the adventure was not over, but had only just begun in a new and meaningful way. The journey was not about where they went or what they did, but about who they became along the way, and that, in the end, was the greatest triumph of all. The peace that settled over the estate was not the silence of isolation, but the quiet satisfaction of a life filled with purpose. Jed, in his later years, would spend his time mentoring those who were just beginning their journey, sharing the lessons he had learned from his life in the mountains and his time in the mansion. He was a teacher of the heart, a guide for those who needed a steady hand and a kind word. And his family was by his side, each in their own way, contributing to the legacy of a man who had shown them that the best path was the one paved with kindness and integrity. They were a family that had learned to navigate the complexities of life with grace and humor, and their story continued to shine as a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come. As the final chapter of their life in Beverly Hills closed, it was with the certainty that they had lived fully and loved deeply. They had left an indelible mark on the hearts of everyone they had encountered, a reminder of the beauty of simple living and the strength of a united family. Their journey was complete, but their story would live on in the memories of those who had been touched by their kindness and the enduring influence of their example. They had found their place in the world, and in doing so, they had helped us all find our own way, a little more confident, a little more hopeful, and a little more connected to the true meaning of home. And so, the story of the man from the mountains and his kin comes to an end, a story of life, of love, and of the incredible journey of being human, lived with the grace and humor that only a truly good soul could possess. The memories of the mountains remained a part of them, a reminder of the origins that had shaped their character and the values that had guided their every step. They had never forgotten the simple joys of their life in the hills, and they had brought that spirit of simplicity to their new life in the city, creating a home that was both a haven and a place of growth. They had learned to balance the demands of a new world with the timeless wisdom of their ancestors, and in doing so, they had created a life that was both rich and meaningful. They had proven that the path to a life well lived was not found in the acquisition of wealth, but in the cultivation of the heart, and that was the greatest lesson they had to share. Their life was a testament to the fact that it is possible to maintain one's integrity and kindness even in the face of great change and significant challenges. They had faced the world with an open mind and a generous spirit, and they had been rewarded with a life that was full of meaning and purpose. They had shown us that the real value of life is found in the connections we build, the love we share, and the lessons we learn from each other. And as we reflect on their story, we are reminded of the simple truth that we are all, in our own way, travelers on a journey, seeking to find our place in the world and to make it a little bit better, a little bit brighter, and a little bit more like home. The story of the Clampetts is a timeless tale that speaks to the core of the human experience. It is a story of adventure and discovery, of growth and change, and of the enduring power of family to sustain us through even the most challenging times. It is a story that reminds us of the importance of staying true to our roots while opening ourselves up to new possibilities, and it is a story that encourages us to live with humor, grace, and a deep appreciation for the people who make life worth living. As we move forward in our own journeys, may we carry the spirit of the mountaineer with us, a spirit of resilience, of kindness, and of an unwavering belief in the good that can be found in everyone. And so, we bid farewell to Jed, Granny, and Jethro, carrying with us the lessons they have shared and the warmth of the life they have lived. Their story is a gift, a reminder that we are all capable of greatness, not through our achievements, but through our character and our capacity to love. They have shown us that the world is a place of wonder and possibility, if only we have the eyes to see it and the heart to embrace it. And as they fade from our view, they leave us with a sense of peace and a deeper understanding of the true meaning of a life well lived, a legacy that will continue to inspire and uplift all who know their story. The mansion on the hill stands quiet now, a testament to the lives that were once lived within its walls and the joy that once filled its rooms. It is a reminder that every home has a story, and every story has the potential to touch the lives of others in a meaningful way. As we look back on the story of the Clampetts, we are reminded of the importance of cherishing our own stories, of honoring the people who have shaped our lives, and of striving to be the best versions of ourselves every single day. We are all a part of a larger story, a tapestry of lives woven together by the threads of experience, love, and the pursuit of a better world for everyone. The legacy of the Clampett family is not one that will be measured in dollars or influence, but in the lives they have touched and the example they have set for us all. They have shown us that it is possible to live a life of integrity, kindness, and humor, no matter where we are or what our circumstances may be. They have taught us that the true measure of a man is the size of his heart, and that the greatest riches are the ones we share with others. Their story is a beacon of hope and a source of inspiration, a reminder of the enduring power of the human spirit to find joy in the simple things and to build a life of purpose and meaning. As we conclude this story, we are reminded of the timeless wisdom that lies at its heart. Be true to yourself, love your family, and never lose your sense of wonder for the world. The journey of life is a long and winding road, filled with challenges and opportunities, but it is a road that is meant to be walked with those we love, with a smile on our faces and a heart full of hope. The story of the Clampetts is a beautiful reminder of the joy that can be found in the journey, and it is a gift that we can all carry with us as we continue to walk our own paths towards a future that is bright, promising, and full of possibility. May the lessons of this story stay with you long after you have finished reading, and may they continue to serve as a guide for your own journey. Remember the laughter, the love, and the strength of the Clampett family, and let their story inspire you to be the best version of yourself, to always treat others with kindness, and to never forget the simple joys that make life worth living. The world is a beautiful place, and it is made even more beautiful by the stories we share and the lives we touch. And as you continue your own journey, remember that you are never alone, and that every step you take is a part of the wonderful, unfolding story of your life. The final words of the story are not really an end, but a beginning, a reminder that every day is a chance to start fresh, to learn something new, and to make a positive impact on the world. The Clampett story is a testament to the fact that we all have the power to create a life of purpose and joy, and that the only limit to what we can achieve is the limit we place on ourselves. May your journey be filled with laughter, love, and all the wonderful surprises that life has to offer, and may you always find the strength and the wisdom to be the person you are meant to be. With these thoughts, we leave the mansion on the hill, the quiet beauty of the setting sun casting a long shadow over the path ahead. The story of Jed, Granny, and Jethro will always be a part of our own journey, a guiding light that helps us find our way when things get tough, and a source of comfort when we need it most. They have left their mark on our hearts, and for that, we are eternally grateful. Their journey was long, their path was unique, and their story was one that truly touched the essence of what it means to be human. And so, we continue on our own way, grateful for the journey, and excited for the road that lies ahead. The legacy of the Clampetts will live on, not just in the memories of those who knew them, but in the lives of everyone they have touched through their story. It is a legacy of kindness, of family, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty in every situation. May their memory be a source of strength, a reminder that we are all capable of great things, and a constant companion on our own journey through life. And as the story of the Beverly Hillbillies finally comes to rest, it does so with a sense of completion and a lasting impact that will continue to echo in our hearts for a long, long time to come.